fluorescent lights blinked out just as I slid my boarding pass into the scanner. One moment I was on my way home for the holidays. The next, I was clutching my coat against a sudden cold that felt charged with panic. The terminal around me went silent for a heartbeat, then erupted into murmurs and footsteps echoing on polished tile. I glanced over at the man stepping off the last shuttle bus into Gate 42, my boss, Daniel Ross. His tall frame was hunched against the wind, cheeks pink beneath a well-cut peacoat. He caught my eye, half-smiled, and raised a gloved hand. We'd flown together this week, presenting our team's annual strategy to the Seattle board. I was his right hand, the one who knew all his slides by heart. But we'd never properly spoken outside the glare of PowerPoint and corporate jargon. "We're grounded," he called, voice low but steady. "All flights canceled. Airports closed until tomorrow morning." I forced a smile. "Great." My knuckles whitened on my rolling suitcase. Do you have a hotel room, or should we find a bench?" He looked up at the swollen gray clouds beyond the terminal windows. "I've booked a room at the Grand Aspen. Would you like to join me? It's only a 10-minute shuttle ride." He spoke as if the words were simple logistics. Room 512, no extra charge for the storm. Heat rushed to my cheeks. Sharing a hotel with your boss was unconventional, to say the least, but the thought of shivering through the night on a plastic hard bench felt worse. "Yes, please," I said, surprising myself with how readily my shoulders slumped in relief. Daniel offered me a cab card, then frowned. "Oops. Shuttle service is suspended too, apparently. I see an empty rental kiosk. Shall we try our luck?" I nodded, and together we pushed through the revolving doors into a snowy courtyard. A lone silver SUV idled at the curb. The attendant yawned as we approached, stamping a shrug at our frigid desperation. With a reluctant nod, he handed us keys. Inside the car's warmth, I pressed my gloves against my cheeks, eyes meeting Daniel's in the rear-view mirror. His expression, usually so composed, looked fragile, an instant reminder that he was human too, behind the suit and tie. I closed my eyes against the glare of passing streetlights and exhaled a shaky laugh. "Thank you," I whispered. He glanced at me in the mirror. "You're welcome. I'm sorry this trip ended like this." The red taillights danced on his profile. "I know it wasn't the plan," I shrugged, forcing my voice steady. "Well, next time we could hope for sunshine." He smiled, a small curve of his lips. "I'll take that." The Grand Aspen lobby was deserted, save for a lone night clerk who barely looked up as we signed in. 2 keycards slid across the counter. I caught mine with fumbling fingers. The elevators hummed to life, and we rode in silence to the 5th floor. Room 512 smelled faintly of pine and stale chocolate, probably the remnants of a welcome basket. Daniel flicked on the overhead light, then closed the door behind us. "I'll text down for extra blankets," he offered. "Do you need anything else?" I nodded, pulling off my boots and brushing snow off my pant legs. "Some water and maybe a charging outlet. My phone's dying." My voice sounded small in the big room. "On it," he said, heading out. Moments later, the bathroom door clicked shut. I sank onto the edge of the king-size bed, legs dangling, and stared at the quilted pattern. My heart felt too big for my chest. An odd flutter of anxiety and something warmer, something curious. When Daniel returned, he carried 2 steaming bottles of spring water and a stack of fluffy blankets. He set them on the desk and turned to me, the lamp behind him haloing his silhouette. "Better?" I nodded, reaching for a bottle. When our hands brushed, a current shot up my arm. I yanked back, mortified, and the water sloshed against the bottle's rim. He chuckled, soft, genuine. "Sorry," I said, cheeks hot. "I'm a bit jumpy." He folded his arms, leaning casually against the wall. "It's been a long day." "I am too," he sighed, then added quietly, "Thank you for coming with me. I appreciate the company." The room hummed with unspoken things. Outside, wind rattled the windows, snow swirling in sheets against the glass. I set down the water and stood. "Want to watch some TV?" I suggested, pointing at the muted flat screen. "Or we could just talk." "Talk sounds nice," he said. He sank into one of the armchairs. I perched cross-legged on the end of the bed. We sorted through small talk, weather forecasts, the absurdity of airport life, until our sentences began to slow, guided by the storm. Daniel told me about his childhood in Vermont, how his family's ski lodge used to fill with holiday guests. He described the scent of maple logs burning in the fireplace, and I could almost see them. Laughing cousins, steaming mugs of cider, the hush of fresh snow outside. I shared that I grew up in a small coastal town, waves crashing against rocky shores, the salty air tangling my hair. My mother used to tuck me in with a candle flickering on the bedside table, the sound of surf in my dreams. By the time our phones slipped from our hands, dead batteries, long since surrendered. The room felt softer, more intimate. The headboard lamp cast a warm glow, shadows dancing on the charcoal carpet. Daniel stood and moved toward me. He started, then paused. His usual confidence wavered. I should say this before it feels too weird. You've been amazing on this trip. I mean, you always are, but today especially, handling the clients, getting us here. I don't know what I'd have done without you. My throat tightened. Thank you, I whispered. That means a lot. He took a breath, then inched closer, until the space between us was only a whisper. The air between us felt charged, like the moment before thunder. I perched on the bed's edge, glancing up at him. At the soft line of his jaw, the way his hair curled at the nape of his neck. I've wanted to tell you something, he said, voice low. I held my breath. Daniel leaned down, closing the gap. His lips brushed mine in the gentlest of touches, like snowflake on skin. My heart skipped, then roared. I rose to meet him, melding into the warmth of that single tender kiss. Outside, the storm raged on, but here in the hush of midnight, it felt like our secret world. When we pulled away, the room seemed to exhale with us. Daniel's hand lingered at my waist, anchoring me. I placed mine against his chest, feeling the steady thrum of his heartbeat. I didn't plan for this, he murmured, but I'm glad it happened. Me too, I breathed. He smiled, a slow, radiating warmth that chased away the chill. We sank onto the bed together, blankets pooled around our legs, and talked until our voices hushed into comfortable quiet. Every now and then, he'd brush a stray lock of hair from my forehead. I'd trace the line of his cheek with my fingertip. Morning light crept through heavy drapes that hadn't been drawn. I woke to the soft rise and fall of Daniel's breathing beside me. The storm had passed. A pale sun dusted the snow-packed streets below. The Airbnb clock on the nightstand flashed 7:03. I slipped out from beneath his arm, careful not to disturb him, and padded to the window. The world looked pristine and new, as if the night's magic had rewritten everything. For the first time in months, I felt a sense of possibility stirring in my chest. Daniel stirred and opened one eye. Morning, he murmured. Morning, I replied, turning back to him with a shy smile. Did you sleep okay? Like a rock, he said, stretching. Then he blinked as though realizing where we were. Oh, I laughed, soft, relieved. Yeah, he sat up, running a hand through his hair. We should head down soon. I'll cover the front desk and ask about breakfast. I nodded, sliding back under the blankets. Sounds good. He reached for me again, and I leaned into the touch. Thank you, I whispered, for everything. He pressed a gentle kiss to my temple. No, thank you, for trusting me, for staying. In the glow of that gentle morning, I realized that being stranded with my boss had become the most unexpected gift of all. And as I traced his name in the frost-edged windowpane, I knew this chapter, storm-tossed and unplanned, was only the beginning.